Hey guys, so it's here bringing you another video. So welcome to Patch Note Breakdown. So again, we don't do these all the time. We don't do them every patch. But the reason why we're doing it today is one of two reasons. Is if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be the Worlds patch. So yeah, here we go. Welcome to the second round of changes focused on the World Championship. So all the changes here will be in the World Championship, which is coming up. So it's a pretty big patch because this is all the games we're going to be watching. And obviously the second reason I will say that I'm doing Patch Breakdown today is it wasn't intended to be the second video of today. It may have been tomorrow's second video. I was going to do a replay analysis on a Vel'Koz game I played, I think off stream, that showed Glacial Augment working really well. Yeah, unfortunately that was the previous patch, so now the replay doesn't work, so I couldn't do that. So we're now doing this. So we're going to go over the patch notes and just give my opinion on them. And I will say I've just stopped streaming a big recording session today. And this is the first guy up here, Darius. Gonna be honest, I don't know what Riot was thinking, and as a slight spoiler to the episodes that you guys are about to watch on the channel over the next few days, I played 5 games of solo queue today, and Darius was in every single one of them. I'm like 100%. It was in every single one. Where Darius as a champion was relatively good and relatively strong anyway. I don't think anybody was complaining about Darius being weak. And they just flat out buffed him. As you can see here, W base damage increased. And E, the armor penetration increased. So again, I will say these are worlds-centric buffs. So just to make the point clear, are they buffing... Are the changes here intended more for the game of League, or are they here for spectating in Worlds? This is basically one of the 2 patches a year that really they don't care about solo queue. Like, this is not a solo queue type thing. And again, a lot of the time, the buffs and the nerfs actually do go to competitive, but this is one of the biggest examples. What Riot wants for spectators is having massive Dariuses running around and ulting, because it looks really cool for pros to do, and it's very good for spectating when you're watching Worlds. So this is where clearly they are leaning towards a character being very strong for competitive and Worlds for views, but then in solo queue they've just made an overpowered Darius. So that's just obviously something pretty basic, but it's a flat out buff. Like, not even, nowhere has got nerfed. His early game has increased by 15% in ratio, and in late game so 10%. It's 10% all round buff. And then the E has gone up, I think, 5%, just straight up buff. Again, I don't really know what they're thinking. Like, to me, Darius was completely fine where he was, and yes, it's centric on Worlds, but I think even without this buff, Darius would have still seen play. Anyway. So with Darius buff also comes Fiora buffs, because one of the, you could always say in top lane especially, there's trifectas that exist. One of the most famous trifectas in top lane was probably Season 3, if I'm not mistaken. It was Jax, Renekton, and Shyvana. That basically, that was all that was played in competitive, those 3 top laners, and you played, whatever one you played depended on whichever top laner picked first. They picked Renekton, you played, I think it was Shyvana, they picked Shyvana, you play something, like, it was a trifecta. And basically, the nowadays trifecta, I think, and what they're trying to lean it towards, is basically dueling top laners that are really kind of crazy for duels in competitive. Darius, Fiora, maybe even Aatrox, stuff like that, they'll probably be buffing and wanting to see in Worlds. So Fiora, her vital healing, which is her passive when she hits one of her marks, she also gets healed from it, is actually a decent buff, so 10 health in the early game, that's nothing to snub your nose at. And then the Q, there's a bug fix, so probably Fiora players rejoice here, because this bug has probably been around for ages. So yeah, a buff for Fiora. Kha'Zix. So is there any surprise they're making changes to Kha'Zix? No. Why is it not? Well, what's the brand new championship skin that they want to sell a lot of? Kha'Zix. Again, the balance team has always come out and said, you know, they don't work with the skin department. They 100% do. And again, this is me as a fan of Riot, who's in the Riot Partner Program. They obviously do. As a company. Like, there'll be a company thing going, it's Championship Kha'Zix, try to get people to buy this skin more. We want to sell more. What's way of making a champion skin sell more? Well, the champion is stronger. So that's just kind of obvious. But there is a small nerf to it. But again, the damage of his passive, the Unseen Threats, when he goes invisible and then comes out, he does bonus damage, has gone up by double. So it was a 0.2 ratio, it's now a 0.4 ratio, so it's doubled, which is a significant buff. And then the W, the slow's gone down. I don't think anybody really cared about the Kha'Zix nerf. So to me, this is kind of like it's a maneuver to kind of go, it's not obviously that we're buffing him because a new skin is out. See, look, we're nerfing him too. It's a pointless nerf. Like, who cares about the slow? So it's basically just a buff for Kha'Zix. Elise, this is something that doesn't surprise me because Elise throughout the years has been a very good pick in Worlds for competitive play. An AP carry jungler that has a lot of map pressure when she's strong and hasn't been strong for a couple years. So seeing buffs on that, I'm not surprised. I actually like Elise. It would be a champion that I would play as my AP jungler if she was strong enough to warrant the pick. So maybe like I'll kind of have a little look of, you know, if pros start playing her, if solo queue people start picking her up, and maybe Elise could make it back into my champion pool, but her cooldown's going down by 2 seconds, and her repel is also going down by a 4 second in the early game, which is considerable. So that's actually pretty damn good. Jarvan, so his passive cooldown has been decreased, so that's his big chunking percentage health. I think it's 12% or something like that, of max health or something like that. So it now can happen at per target is 6 seconds per target. So basically what that means is if you're in a team fight, the first time that you auto-attack a brand new person, it starts to cool down on that person so it can happen again. So for example, if there's only 2 people, you attack person A, it'll do his passive chunk. If you attack the same person A again, it won't do the passive until 6 seconds later. But then if you attack person B right after you attack person A, it'll happen, your passive will happen on both. It's an individual cooldown depending the people that you're hitting. So that's pretty cool, and it's been buffed significantly there, 4 seconds in the early game. New. AP scaling on Q increase, or the Q heal increase, and AP ratio increase. I actually believe this is intended for not even AP snowball builds. Like you're seeing here, we've seen a number of players building like Indiana Jones rolling the bull AP builds, while his tank build is seeing more success. See, they're building, like there's AP buffs here that they're hinting at, hey, we want you to play AP. I don't even think that's like you should do that. I think this is still a pure tank Nunu with maybe 1 AP item, and that's just going to help you do a bit more damage to these buffs. So personally, I think he's still going to be a tank, like 100%. But his healing ratio is now 0.7, now not 0.5, so 0.2, that's pretty good. And then his E is gone up by a 0.09 of the max snowball hit ability power ratio, and then Willup's rune is gone up by 0.3. Again, these are all pretty big buffs, and I know a lot of people are like, 0.3 of it's actually pretty significant. So AP Nunu players will be very happy here, but I think Nunu players in general should be happy too. And also, he gets new Willup's transition to walking after he finishes rolling his snowball now feels smoother. So it doesn't go from rolling to just like normal. It probably like slowly kind of eases him back into it. Janna. Passive movement speed to damage conversion increase. No surprise that Janna's getting buffs. Very, again, I'll say this right now. These two, Janna and Thresh, are two of the biggest Worlds supports that there's ever been in history. You know, Mad Life's Thresh is famous for a reason, because Worlds and stuff. So I'm not surprised that you're seeing Janna buffs, you're seeing Thresh buffs. Great. Like, Thresh in competitive, I think, is really cool to watch. So, there you go. And Pyke, yeah. So, again, what is another flashy champion that Riot would want for watching and having crazy, like Darius, crazy resets that they can kill everything in a team fight? Pyke. They want Pyke in Worlds. He's a very fun champion to watch. So, that's why Pyke is getting buffs. They want him to be played. And his ultimate is the thing that's actually getting buffed by 50 damage. Holy moly. So, really? So basically, at rank 1, so hang on here, R from below. So what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's only 13. Yeah, okay. So it's basically been buffed by 50 damage at rank 1, which is pretty significant. So, wow. Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench, to me, it's a bit of a weird thing that he's getting buffed, because if they are buffing stuff for Worlds, which is all about having a really good show and really good games for Worlds, Tahm Kench is anti-fun. He's anti-spectator, rather than actually being for spectators. So that to me is a bit weird. You know, he can work in certain comps, and what's exciting about him really is his ultimate, that he can like flank people. But the whole idea of, oh, there's a crazy outplay, oh my god, and then Tahm can just eat somebody, and it's like, oh, it's boring. So to me, that's a bit weird if they do buff him, or did they nerf him? So it's kind of like a weird nerf. So maybe this is actually right going, we don't want Tahm Kench in Worlds. His level 1 health has been nerfed by 70 health. Wow, that's a lot. His health growth has gone up by 7. So this won't break even until level 10, roughly. So that's considerable, that his early game is a lot weaker, which then comes into being a weaker early lane, is then he's less useful at saving his AD carry and lane phase. So this actually might be what I'm saying. I might have got it wrong. Maybe they don't want Tahm Kench in Worlds, therefore they're nerfing him, kinda. And then his W, what have they done to that? Allies Tahm Kench has devoured will no longer sometimes be targetable. Okay, so that's a bug fix, I guess. Kog'Maw, so not surprised seeing a Kog'Maw buff, because again, Kog'Maw is very exciting. Kog'Maw going crazy in the backline, going bleh, 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 and then the whole idea of, damn, the enemy team have to get to this Kog'Maw. It makes very much like a cat and mouse type dynamic that's very fun to watch in Worlds. So I'm not surprised seeing Kog'Maw buffs. And again, by the way, this patch note breakdown is kind of like just going over some of the stuff and also giving my opinion why they're doing it for Worlds. So yeah, that's purely excitement. That's great. That's all the champions. Liandry is getting nerfed, kinda, or... Ability power is down by 5, but the passive HP burn is being increased. That's fine. That's a perfectly fine. Like, it's been nerfed 5 ability power, but the ratio of the max HP per second has gone up by 0.5. And then the dot against impaired targets has gone up by 0.5 of max health per second. Oh, that's a big buff. Liandry's is better. Holy moly. Nice. So that's all the items that they're changing. Again, this was part 2. They did do a part 1, which I didn't cover. They're doing a couple of, like, audio line upgrades. They're doing a objective steal announcement. Oh, cool. So steals for this is purely for Worlds to hype up like Baron steals and stuff. So when something has been stolen, you're like, and again, how do they, I'm guessing the way that they think that something's been stolen is they look at which team has done the majority of the damage to that objective, and if the opposite jungler kills it with smite or something, oh my god, it's been stolen. That will be pretty hype for Worlds. That's cool. I like that. Profile page. Now, I would show you my profile page, but I can't because it would give spoilers to Climb to Master. All I'll say is I actually think the new profile page is very bad. And again, the way that I explained it on stream, and if you guys right now want to bring up your brand new profile, that would help you yourselves understand. In game design, I did a degree. We follow the golden rule of ratios. So when it comes to stuff like this is what you'd want to follow. The most prominent thing your biggest ratio should be the most important, and then it works down from scaling. So the way that the new profile is they're saying in the golden rule, the most important thing is the champion splash art that you picked. Then it's the thing on the left, which is just your summoner icon and your name. And then it's the things at the bottom, which are all the same size, that also shouldn't be the same size. With the golden ratio, because again, the bigger the thing is, the more important. With having your rank and your honor the same as your mastery level, clash, and your clash banner, they're trying to say your rank is the exact same importance as your honor level, as your mastery level, which obviously that's just not true. Your rank should have the biggest prominence on your profile, because that's the most important thing on your profile, or at least you should be able to set it. That would actually be pretty nice. If you could customize which has the dominance or which is the biggest thing on your own profile, that would be really good. But the golden ratio is being not followed for the new profile at all. It's pretty poor design, if I had to say so myself. Also now, normal draft matchmaking is now following the new role ranks that they're trying to put out. So normal games are now being the MMR used for your normal games is now being separated from your top to your mid to your jungle games, and they're experimenting it. And again, I have heard that it's not coming out straight away for all servers next season. They're going to be testing it in smaller servers in split 1, because again, remember, next rank season is split in 3. So next split 1, the new role ranked will probably be on like OCE, Turkey, Japan, Russia. it will probably skip EU West and North America. If it's a success in the smaller servers, by Split 2, they'll put it out to the whole world. A bunch of bug fixes, skins. So we got Championship Kha'Zix. We get some chromas to the X Championship skins. We get a, what's that? Jakarta 2018 icon. Celebrating League of Legends participation in the I have no idea. And that is it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed the discussion. Feel free to join it in the comment section below. What do you think's good? What do you think's bad? Are you looking forward to Worlds? Let me know who you want to win. I'm rooting for Team Liquid. But yeah, I'd say my biggest highlight of what I think they shouldn't have done in this patch note is the Darius. I just don't think that was needed. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe. See you guys next time.